A very, very beautiful Monday morning to you and a warm welcome to the press, reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Olamide Alhassan and a happy new month to you and yours. Hope you're having a great week already, starting yesterday. Alrighty, you know what we do on the press. First of all, give you all the updates on the weather forecast, and afterwards we give you all the stories that make it to the front page of the national dailies, and then we come in with a guest, and that's also the segment where you get to come in and call to express yourself and just tell us exactly how you feel about most of the developing stories on our national dailies for this morning. So right about now, we have to give you updates on the weather. I'm sure a lot of you are already experiencing what the weather can be like, especially because it's rainy season. So, and you already know we like to start from the core north. Let's see what it says in Kano State. And in Kano State, it says on the average about 23 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy, and the highest is at 31 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is at 22 degrees Celsius. It says partly cloudy conditions expected around 1 p.m. as wind gusts are up to 23 kilometers per hour. That's it in Kano State. And from Kano State, let's take a little step further to Kaduna State. Kaduna says on the average about 21 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy with the highest at 29 degrees Celsius and the lowest at 20 degrees Celsius. And partly cloudy conditions are expected around 11 a.m. as wind gusts are up to 18 kilometers per hour. And from there on, let's go to the southeastern part of Nigeria, Imo State. Imo State says on the average it's about 23 degrees Celsius. It's drizzling at the moment. The highest is at 27 degrees Celsius and the lowest is at 22. And it says thunderstorms are expected around 4 p.m. today as wind gusts are up to 10 kilometers per hour. Talking about thunderstorm, that can be quite scary, so you probably want to take care of yourself and you probably want to make sure that you're not anywhere close to that. And in Port Harcourt today, it says 23 degrees Celsius on the average. It's currently drizzling with the highest at 27 degrees Celsius and the lowest at 23 degrees Celsius. And cloudy conditions are expected around 6 p.m. as wind gusts are up to 9 kilometers per hour in Port Harcourt. And from there to the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, Lagos State. Lagos State says on the average about 25 degrees Celsius and it's currently drizzling with the highest at 27 degrees Celsius and the lowest at 24. And rainy conditions will continue all day as wind gusts are up to 17 kilometers per hour. So which means that if you're in Lagos, you probably want to go out with your raincoat, your rain boots, your umbrella, and probably your hot water flask. You probably need it today. And maybe your coffee or tea somewhere hanging around. All right, that's it for Lagos State. And now to the Federal Capital Territory, where you're currently watching us from right about now. It says on the average about 22 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy, but I promise you it's already raining in some parts. The highest is at 27 degrees Celsius and the lowest is at 21 degrees Celsius. It says cloudy conditions will continue all day as wind gusts are up to 10 kilometers per hour. And may I add this for you, that it's currently drizzling in some parts of Abuja and probably going to rain in no time. So that's it for the weather forecast. This is just so you know how best to get your day started and how to plan yourself ahead so you don't get drenched by mistake. At least you got to hear that from here first. Alrighty, that's it for the weather forecast. Now let's see what our national dailies have in store for us. A lot happened yesterday and a lot is already happening this morning, but let's see what stories made it to the front page of our national dailies. And let's start with The Nation. The Nation says, I'm still in Labour Party, says Obi. You find that on page 4. And the boldest story that made it to the front page says, Mark Aregbesola take over in conflict with ADC constitution. Mark Aregbesola take over in conflicts with ADC constitution. Writer says Nwosu Matara disagree on amendment of party rules. That's on the front page of the paper. You probably want to check out more details on page 4 of The Nation. Natasha, I'll resume tomorrow. I'm presuming that to be today, Monday. That's on page 6 for your read this morning. Now, ethnic nationalities back Wike's demand on release of NDDC forensic reports, and that's on page 2. Firms, local substitution boost trade balance. That's on page 2 for your read as well. And the picture story you see here, we find President Bola Tinubu with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu Dakbo Abiodun, St. Alia, Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Maitama Tugar, and Brazil President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and other officials during the BRICS meeting in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil yesterday. Well, that's it for the front page of the paper. Now let's see what other papers have in store for us. And now we move on gradually to the Vanguard. Vanguard says ADC begins takeover of PDP structures in northern states. ADC begins takeover of PDP structures in northern states. Now, people are beginning to contemplate. It seems like it's not going to be APC PDP anymore. It's going to be APC ADC. How interesting are you beginning to find this? Well, we'll expect your opinion when the phone lines are then open for you to say something. And the writer to that story says PDP calls defectors to ADC. Good riddance, they say. I am loyal to APC, says Zulum. Dismisses defection rumor. Why Obi is still committed to LP according to sources. Okay. So now Atiku, El Rufai, Obi's coalition is a fraud, says APC scribe. FG's reform mere optics, not solution, says ADC. You failed as Interior Minister. Wike tackles Aregbesola. Interesting. I'm still in LP, Peter Obi says, and that's on page 5 for your read. Quite a lot of stories that made it to the front page when it comes to the political scene. I am contesting for president, not vice president, says Peter Obi, and that's on page 40. Need verification portal frustrates banks, telcos as downtime persists, and that's on page 26 for your read this morning. And now moving on, we have, let me just take this Mr. and Mrs. It's been quite a while, just for a bit of comic relief. Mr. says, you still have 4 uncles and 3 aunts. My God, your meager salary is not even enough for us. And, sorry, Mrs. said that. And Mr. says, don't worry, they are all millionaires. And Mrs. said, oh, my adorable aunts and uncles-in-law, let's visit them tomorrow. I'm sure you know what that means. Alrighty, from the front page of the Vanguard, now let's see what the leadership has to say. Leadership says, I am running for president, not vice, Obi declares, and that's on page 7. Says Tinubu government lacks compassion. Your time has passed, Wike tells former Anambra governor. Can he really pass? We don't know. We leave that up to you, and that's on page 7. Now, leadership appoints new editors, and that's on page 7. Tinubu orders military to wipe out Nigeria's enemies. Kuka fears greater insecurity, and that's on page 22 for your read. Aviation fuel soared to 1,315 naira per liter despite oil price dip, and that's on page 27. Ebonyi governor backs rotational presidency, that's on page 23. NAS oversight of MDA's ineffective CSO's orders, and that's on page 26. NAS oversight of MDA's ineffective, says CSOs and others, and that's on page 26 for your read. And our JAM releases 11,000 mop-up candidates results, that's on page 21 for your read this morning. 29 die in Kano, Lagos crashes. And that's on page 6. As rainstorm destroys 100 Kebbi houses. That's on page 20. Now the picture story you find side by side. One is scene of a road accident that claimed 21 lives along Zaria Kano Road on Sunday. And the second is houses destroyed by rainstorm in Kebbi on Sunday as well. That's it on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. And now let's see what other stories have to tell us. Now there's a briefing, fact check. They say, how did Tinubu media force describe the revival of the ADC? That's a fact check. And we have foreigners with expired visas get 1st August as deadline. That's on page 4 for your read. And now let's see what the front page of our other papers have to say. The Daily Trust, that says a newspaper you can trust, says Obi insists on 2027 contest as Atiku hints at running. Now this is becoming really interesting. Really interesting. Well, you find out on the front page of the Daily Trust. FG puts presidential jet on sale in Switzerland. That's on page 12. Leaked documents how FCTA workers was queried, arrested and detained. That's on page 11. And now millions of Nigerians in multi-dimensional poverty, says NLC. Millions of Nigerians in multi-dimensional poverty, says NLC, and that's on page 7. 39 killed in Kano, Lagos, Ogun Road accidents. 39 killed in Lagos, Kano, Ogun Road crashes, and that's on page 5 for your read. Boko Haram kills 9, injures 4 in Borno. FG finds multi-choice 766.2 million naira for violating Data Protection Act. Nigeria cruise 3-0 over Tunisia at WAFCON, and that's on page 76 for your read this morning. And now to the front page of the Daily Monitor. It says, I'll contest for president in 2027, not in talks to be Atiku's vice president, says Obi. Says, I do not need more than 4 years to provide good governance. Interesting. Now, NIMET predicts 3-day rain, thunderstorms from today, advises airline operators to get airport-specific weather reports from it for effective planning of operations, and that's on the front page. Now, Chief of Army Staff seeks support of Nigerians in fight against insecurity. That's on page 4. FG launches visa amnesty for foreigners. That's also on page 4 for your read. And now NDPC finds multi-choice 766 million naira for data privacy violation. That's on page 12 for your read as well. Senate yet to receive CTC on Akpoti Uduaga's court judgment, says Adaramodu, and that's on page 7. Tinubu to Nigerian army, confront and defeat those who seek to undermine our nation. Says Nigeria facing existential threats that require united, firm, uncompromising response. And that's on the front page of the paper this morning. And now let's take some punchy headlines from the Punch newspaper. The Punch says 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocation. Did you hear that? I'm not sure you heard me. 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocations. Rivers, Taraba top debt surge as 10 states accounts for 34% of subnational domestic debt. And that's on page 31 for your read. Recapitalization, 5 banks hit CBN targets ahead of deadline, and that's on page 35. Coalition crisis brews as ADC chairman sets terms for alliance, and that's on page 5 for your read this morning. Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorists and separatists, says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's on page 8 for your read this morning. And that's it on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And now let's see what other papers have in store for us. And this day, on this beautiful day, says 2027. Presidency in panic mode, ADC coalition alleges. This day says 2027. Presidency in panic mode, ADC coalition alleges. Rider says insists president not governing Nigeria. Obi declares he won't buy 150 billion naira jets when people are dying. Zulum dismisses defection rumor, affirms loyalty to APC. Ex-police minister, other PDP members move to ADC in large numbers. LP collapses structure into coalition. South-South groups trade tackles over support for ADC. And that's on page 5. And now moving on to other stories that made it to the front page. Dantata, Northern Governors Forum delegation, Atiku Zulum orders pay condolence visits to family in Kano State. And now World Bank, Nigeria stuck in lower middle income economy below Libya and Gabon. Stresses country not ranked among heavily indebted poor countries. That's on the front page of the paper for your read this morning. And now we have Senator Wade certified judgment copy before action on Natasha Akpoti Uduaga's suspension. And that's on page 10 for your read as well. And now moving on. That's all on the front page of this day. And now to the voice of liberty. Northern leaders meet in Kaduna for regions, unity and economy. Right after the story says excerpts from the story says leaders from the 19 northern states and Abuja at the weekend converged on Kaduna to chart a new course for the region's unity, institutional strength and economic revitalization. What's the outcome of the meeting? We'll get to find out this morning as we proceed. 2027, Tinubu may get less than 30% northern vote, says Zainab Galadima. I beg your pardon, Zainab Galadima wants. Publish NDDC audit reports, persecute those behind delay, Serap to Tinubu. And Constitution, Murik demands Sharia courts Friday as public holiday in Southwest. 2027 elections. PDP Kaduna chapter distances itself from coalition of interim ADC EXCO. 2027 elections. PDP chapter distances itself from coalition of interim ADC EXCO. And that's on the front page of the paper this morning. And now away from Voice of Liberty, let's see what we have on other papers. The Daily Times. 83% of Nigerians have no trust in Tinubu's government. API, that's according to API reports, and that's on page 9 for your read this morning. FG offers relief for foreigners with expired visa. That's on page 7. Recover LGs hijacked by governors. Group charges Nigerians, and that's on page 7. Tinubu tax military on response to insecurity. That's on page 2. Constitution review must address injustice to Southeast, says Senator Ume, and that's on page 14. You can't enforce perceived order, Senate tells Akpoti Uduara, and that's on page 2. Wicked to coalition, no comeback to desperate power grabbers. That's on page 7. Who are these desperate power grabbers? You get to find out as we progress on the program. And that's on page 7 for your read this morning from the front page of the Daily Times. And now moving on from there, we have the Abuja City Journal, which is our final paper for this morning. It says laughable in red, boldly in red, the Abuja City Journal. It says laughable. 7 coalition leaders trying to unseat Tinubu want to be president. Laughable. 7 coalition leaders trying to unseat Tinubu want to be president, and that's on the front page of the paper. And we see pictures, and it says NAS sets December deadline to transmit Constitution Amendment report to states. Lead with professionalism, purpose. IGP Egbetokun charges new police commissioners, and that's on the front page. PSG defies red cards, knocks out Bayern. Muslim cleric arrested in Osun for alleged defilement of 8-year-old girl. 6 arrested over murder at FCT Markets. Wicked defends Rolls-Royce ownership, says it comes from wealthy background. That's on the front page. Senator Natasha offers homeless boy employment scholarship support. And that's on the front page of the paper this morning. And that's where we'll leave you for the front page of our national dailies. And that's where we also go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be joined by two guests, I beg your pardon, for analysis of most of the headlines we've just read out to you. Do not forget, our phone lines will also be open for you to call in and join the conversation. We'll be right back. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still on To the Press, reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We've now been joined by guests, very interesting guests, who always causes a bit of rancor in the studio. We have no other person. We have Richard Oriri, who's a public affairs analyst, a political analyst as well, to help us analyze on most of the top stories that made it to the front page of our national dailies this morning. And this is also the segment where you get to call in and make your contributions known and let your voice be heard. Let us know exactly how you feel about most of the stories that made it to the front page. Good morning, Mr. Richard.
Good morning.
It's
My
a pleasure to
pleasure.
have
Yeah,
you.
my pleasure.
Our
It's
red
been
cap
quite
chief.
a while.
Honestly.
It's been quite a while. You refuse to invite me.
No, you're here. You're here now, and I'm so happy you're here on this day because I know that politics is your forte, especially international politics as well. But
We are
I'm
here
so
to
happy
do
that
justice to everything you have.
exactly. So now let's talk about most of the stories that have been the major headline lately, aside insecurity, which is politics. So let's quickly delve into politics first of all. There's a coalition emerging. Should I say emerging or emerged coalition?
Emerged coalition.
Exactly. So let me take it just as the front page of the Vanguard says it. Vanguard says ADC begins takeover of PDP structures in northern states. What does this mean to you? Does it mean that it's going to be 2027? We've always had a situation where we have APC, PDP versus other parties. And then in 2023, we had APC, PDP, LP versus other parties, right? That was what it looked like. I'm not saying in coalition. I'm saying APC versus PDP versus LP and others. So now, do you see a situation where we now have APC, ADC and others? Do you understand my question?
I understand your question very well, very clear.
Exactly.
The situation around APC, ADC, PDP, and other minority parties going into coalition, that have even gone into coalition, it's not about, to me, it's not about ideology. It's about self-interest. And what is going on presently, I don't think is somehow good for Nigerians.
Okay.
And it's somehow not good for Nigeria.
Why did you say it's good? And
why
did
I
you
say it's
not?
good in one way and it's not good in the other way is that in a democratic setting, there's always room for diverse opinion.
Okay.
And that diverse opinion, if you bring it into a political arrangement by the way of election, the masses should have alternative. And the alternative is what they said they are trying to create. But to me, we have alternatives. We have PDP, we have APC, we have Labour Party, we have 18 political parties known today in Nigeria.
Of course.
And ADC is one of them as well. But the challenge that I am talking about that is not good for Nigeria, the area I'm looking at it that is not good for Nigeria now is that the personalities involved in this arrangement, they are only changing political party, but they are not changing mentality. They are not changing behavior. That is the problem. And the way I have seen them as populists. And they are trying to introduce a new political narrative in Nigeria called populist politics, where you cause sharp division between state establishment and the masses, which will further cause strong division among Nigerians and between the masses and the state establishment, which is not good for us as a nation. Instead, we should form a kind of coalition that will be about the interests of how to deepen democracy. But the way they are going now is purely about their personal interests. And if you look at the actors involved, you will see clearly that majority of them, they have been out of power for so long. And the kind of politics we play here in Nigeria is not the type that is just winner takes all. Once you are in power, if we have a kind of political arrangement that thinks about past leaders, how to bring past leaders on board in governance, seeking their opinion to see how all of you will collectively harness ideas to see how you will give proper governance to the people. It wouldn't have been like this. But in Nigeria, once you take over position of authority, the ones that were there before, you don't think about them. You don't even know whether they are citizens anymore.
Absolutely.
You don't think about them at all. And majority of these people, they might be, they may have exited office, public office, but they still have interest in contributing their quota to the development of the country.
Yeah.
But the way our leaders used to abandon them, like some of these are leaders recently that we heard of, that they are dead. They normally, some few leaders, they announced death of some leaders in Nigeria recently. And it's just after the announcement of their death that you know that, oh, this person is still alive to this day. Government don't even go down to look at this, to think about them.
Okay, Mr. Richard, sorry to cut you. Let's go on a quick break. I want us to discuss more about those leaders that are long forgotten and those that are emerging at the moment. Let's go on a quick break. When we return to continue the conversation. Viewers, stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. Apologies for the break. Now we've been joined by our second guest, who is a UN Peace Ambassador, Ambassador Clem Aguiyi. You're welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you for having me, and I apologize for the slight delay.
No, not at all. Not a problem at all. So we were just having a conversation just this morning about what's happening in the political scene, and I also like to get your opinion. I was asking Mr. Richard Oriri here, who's a political analyst, about the move ADC is beginning to make. And I told him, I said, is this seeing 2027? So I want to get your opinion as well. Are you seeing 2027 as an APC, ADC versus other parties kind of 2027 when it comes to the political arena?
Yeah, thank you for the question. 2027 was supposed to be a battle between PDP and APC. But PDP has not been able to put their own hands together in order to form the formidable opposition. And if anybody think you can just uproot an incumbent party or an incumbent president who is also desperate, just like a Tea Party, I think that person has to have a rethink. The only thing that can defeat the current APC government is a coalition of political parties. I would have wished that coalition was led by PDP, but unfortunately, the intra-party battle in PDP is still ongoing, because inside PDP we have people who are hell-bent on weakening the party, weakening it in such a way that the party will not be able to put up a good fight against in the presidential election. And we also have people in the party who want to destroy the party. Their whole intent is to make sure that PDP is destroyed and buried. And we have people who think they can still do one or two things to strengthen the party. Unfortunately, the way the party is leaning towards those who wants to weaken the party, because you have somebody like the FCT minister who still insists he's a member of PDP, but he's going to work for the APC presidential candidate, and PDP should not field a candidate for the election in 2027. I don't know how you become a political party and you have no ambition, you have no aspiration to want to form government. So that is also a work. So people now say, you know what? If the party is not coming, let the individuals decamp and form a coalition. And that's what you see going on. So, interestingly, it depends on how it plays out and the character of the people that are in these two, that are doing this coalition. Are they serving their own personal interest, or are they serving the interest of rescuing the nation? If their messaging is right, if their intention is right, and they're able to convince the people that we are coming to make a difference from the present reality that we are in, then the people might listen to them and might follow them. So that might become now a battle between the good and the bad. But a battle between APC and ADC.
Now, talking about a battle between the good and the bad, Mr. Richard, I want you to also come in here. We see these people, these political actors, as people who say this today, and tomorrow they say another thing. Let's look at the characters in question. Most of these people seem like they've been even from the same party. And they're just probably people who are aggrieved and deciding to join a coalition. Would we really term them the good? And which people would we term the bad? Mr. Richard, let's get your thoughts first.
In the first instance, I want to align myself with what Ambassador just said.
Okay.
Yes, it is because of lack of leadership within the PDP that have created this avenue now for ADC to emerge.
Sure.
As the second opposition party or the number one opposition party now against APC in Nigeria. But like you said, yes, before now I call them recycled, disgruntled politicians. What they are after is their interest. It's not the interest of the masses.
Okay.
Because if they said they have different narrative to give to Nigerians, check their past. Before now, His Excellency, former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, he was governor for 8 years. Yes, he gave his best to the state in terms of infrastructural development. But what about other aspects of development? Was there security in Kaduna State? Today, they have security in Kaduna State. Is it coming back now in another form through ADC to give us the same kind of insecurity that we were having in Kaduna? Now, in the national chairman, the interim national chairman of ADC, ADC will even hit, ADC will not even move further. Because as it is now, the constitution of ADC, Benue State chapter of ADC, the chairman, state chairman of ADC, he has said it. He said their own constitution, there's no provision in the constitution for interim administration, interim government within the ADC. Okay, now it means what they have formed now as interim is illegal.
Okay.
Meaning all the state chairmen before now, they are still the state chairman, the recognized state chairman of the party, known to law. Meaning whatever they are doing is illegal. It's illegal. And the crop of individuals that have ventilated their interest to say we are forming a new party outside PDP, like Ambassador said. What is their intention? For me, and to me, the way I have seen it is just like I said earlier, a populist politics playing out, and it's new to us in Nigeria. And that will create a very sharp division in the country. Instead of us uniting to healing the wound, the already existing wounds, creating another division between the masses and state establishment.
All right.
Is not good for us as a nation, as it is now presently.
All right, Ambassador, what's your opinion on that? Do you see them as disgruntled members who just want power for themselves and some populists who want to cause more separation?
Well, politics is about conflicts, conflict of emotion, conflict of policies, and it all depends on how you look at the conflicts. If you call it disgruntled, fine. If I'm unhappy where I am, I have a right to be in another place. So I don't quite see it as something wrong in democracy. For people who feel not happy the way things are going, to now want to say, look, let's come together and get it right for the country, not just because of ourselves, but because of the future generation. Because in the reality, you ask yourself one question: is the country moving in the right direction? In all aspects, economic-wise, security-wise, education-wise, health-wise, are we moving, foreign policy-wise, are we moving in the right direction? Now you look at all these things and you say to yourself, is this the kind of country? Yes, I've eaten my lunch. Maybe I'm about to eat my dinner too, I've eaten my dinner. But should I eat the breakfast, the lunch and dinner of my children? Or should I leave for them a better country? Some of them may be motivated by the higher desire to serve the country's future. They may have been there in the government in the past. There's so much you can do at a time when you're in government. If you are governor today, there's so much you can do. And when you leave office, you can see that thing that you have done being bastardized and being destroyed by people who succeeded you. I have an experience myself. I was a local government chairman. I starved. I said no more than I said yes. I did everything to put my local government in the spotlight and build infrastructures, design the local government. I wanted to be one of the best. But as soon as I left office, not up to 3 months or 6 months I left office, my successor turned everything upside down. And I asked myself, why did I have to starve myself? Why did I have to have sleepless nights? Why did I have to work so hard to put things right? Only for the person that come now to turn everything upside down. So, like I said, in life, you move on after you have played your role at a particular time. So these people that you're mentioning have played their role one time or the other. They've gathered experience. They have asked themselves questions. Is this the kind of country I wanted or that I tried to contribute my quota to build? So I don't want to see them as disgruntled.
Okay.
I don't want to see unity among politicians to mean aligning with one party.
Okay.
To be able to have a one-party state. Is that what you call unity in a multi-party democracy? The answer is no. There's something that is sacred. What is sacred in Nigeria is the unity of Nigeria. That is sacred. Policies we can differ. The way to the policies, even if we agree, we may have different strategies for we to approach that policy and resolve the issues. That is why politics is about conflict, balancing acts, and or whatnot. So I don't really want to see anybody that is trying to make its own contribution in the negative. But I see it as a positive sign that at least we're having a conversation.
But you know, I am beginning to wonder, really, looking at most of these people and their antecedents, if you couldn't do it so good while you were in power, what's going to make the difference now if you take power? It
depends on where you were then when you were in power. If you're in local government, you can only do as much as a local government chairman can do. If you're a governor of a state, you can only do your best as a governor of a state. If you are the one that is on top as the president of the country, then you can do your best as the president of the country. And you know that one policy of the federal government and the man at the top can destroy everything that you have planned from the ground. That's how Nigeria is. Because Nigeria runs a one constituency presidential election. The entire country is the constituent of the president. And most of the laws that we have are in the exclusive list. And that is why one policy of the federal government today can destroy every other thing you have planned, even as an individual. So it becomes important now to say, look, I've played in the state level, I've played in the local government level, let me go to the center and play in the center level and see whether I can get things right. So the question of what did they do when they were there doesn't arise. What is important now is what is going on now.
Okay.
Is it the right direction?
Okay.
And what can we do to put the country on the right path?
Right.
If Nigeria does not get it right in the next 4 years, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, I'm not sure we have the next 10 years.
All right. Mr. Richard, let me get your opinion on that. Like, are we not supposed to look at people's antecedents to be able to judge what they would do in the future?
It's very necessary. If you don't check the past, there's no how you put the present in order to get to have a better future. The past is necessary in everything. And that is why we go into research. You understand? You put the past together. That is a empirical evidence before you can project what will likely come up tomorrow. The situation of Nigeria today, like Ambassador said, yes, in the international system, a hegemon is necessary. If there is a hegemon that can give stability, it's very key and important. But if there's a hegemon that cannot give stability, that is, you can't give governance, you can't give security to other states, then there must be another hegemon that will rise. And that is what is happening in the Nigerian political setting. Yes, APC. Almost every Nigerian, they are saying that APC want to turn Nigeria a one-party state. Is to me, even if we drive towards that direction, and Nigerians are not praising the president, the current head of state of Burkina Faso, they are praising him. He is a military man, and he's running his show, giving governance to the state. If you go to Singapore, the same thing. Singapore practice almost one-party system, and they have the best governance. They are giving governance to the people, and the people are happy. The problem here is any political party that come to power today, PDP, they were there yesterday. It was in 2015 that they were dislodged like the British Empire. You understand? Equally, Soviet Union. One person was there before as a leader. But because you were not given leadership, the masses have to revolt, and another leadership will have to emerge. And that was what brought about APC. Now, APC, Nigerians are complaining that APC, they are not giving the necessary leadership. And they are not giving the necessary governance to the people. But these people who are coming from this direction now, how can we trust them? That is the question in the mind of every Nigerian.
Yes.
They are not new faces. If we are having fresh brains coming up, new Nigerians, we have them in abundance that can give leadership, that can give governance to us as a nation.
So in a nutshell, you're saying that we're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Completely. We are in a serious dilemma. Serious one.
Ambassador,
Can these people give us the governance that we need? Just we are complaining that before President Tinubu emerged as president, Nigerians were complaining, even hurrying up Buhari to round up his administration and go, thinking we were going to have better government after him. But it's the same Nigerians that are complaining now that Tinubu is in place. So how are we sure that we are not going to complain again tomorrow if we should trust these people coming from the direction of ADC? These are faces that we all know. These are faces that we know in Nigeria. Like my brother, who is the leading leader of ADC, he was Senate president for 8 years.
Please let me quickly take this call.
The first in the history of Nigeria.
Just a minute. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Captain TV.
Good morning, you're welcome to the press. Good morning, Hakim.
Okay, thank you very much. And hello to your analysts there. They are all doing well.
Thank you.
Yeah. What I just want to say, make a reference to Mr. Oriri.
Yes.
He has actually said it right. The truth of the matter is that, look, we don't have trust in any one of them. That's not the fact. See, it's a matter of trust. We have tested them and we have seen them all. So there is no any kind of branding that anyone will want to bring, that will want to convince Nigeria.
Okay.
For me as a person, I will advise Peter Obi not to join that kind of group. Let him stand alone.
All right.
Maybe God can perform miracle for him. But the truth is that even all over the world now, I'm not criticizing democracy, but see, democracy has turned crazy all around the world. There is no any sincerity again. You understand? So, issue of governance, the problem we are having in Nigeria is that we don't have governance. Democracy is not the miracle.
All right.
Saying that even if we are going to have that one party, as long as we are going to have the good governance, that is what Nigeria needs. So your other analyst saying, though he's saying based on the principle of democracy, that some parties probably maybe they want to turn into one party. It doesn't matter anymore. The world has changed. What people need is sincerity and governance. God bless Nigeria. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I came from Lagos. I want to get your opinion. I heard you smiling.
Yeah, why I have to smile is that when you say that people are complaining, people will always complain. Complain is an aspect of life.
True.
And I said it here, that no government solves all the problem. And one thing I know about government is that in trying to solve one problem, they create another problem. And that what makes the world to move on. Now, I believe also that we have to look into history, but we don't have to dwell in history. We have to look forward. We have to be futuristic. Somebody has said, my colleague has said here, you have to look at the people that are coming in, forming these alliances. We've known them before. We want new face. I remember one military government we had in Nigeria that said they want to bring in new breeds into the system to run the system. And at the end of the day, they brought new breed of politicians, not new breed of politicians. We want fresh faces. They became new breed that replaced the old one. Today we are remembering Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Michael Okpara, Obafemi Awolowo. We killed some of them. Our people killed some of them. And today they are the ones that is having our currency, having a national monument, as the ones who their days were better. This is the world is like that. And I will keep saying it here. When we're asking, how can we trust them? You're speculating. You can only know what somebody can offer when you have given that person a chance. that people formed something.
Have they not been given the chance before now?
Yeah, that people formed an alliance to be able to provide a better alternative to policies and governance does not mean that they are even the ones that are going to drive it at the end of the day. Not everybody will be president. We're only going to have one president. Not everybody will going to be a senator. We're going to have one senator from each senatorial zone. So people are going to come up to occupy that position, but leadership matters. The caller said you will advise Peter Obi not to join the coalition. If Peter Obi does not join the coalition and want to go it alone by himself the way he did the other time, he will fail the election.
But let's talk about Peter Obi's joining of the coalition.
Yes,
now.
That's where I want to come in.
I want to know.
I completely align myself with the last caller.
All right, so let's get to know what's going to happen, because we have Atiku there. He's hinting to run. We have Peter Obi there. We have Nasir El-Rufai there. The question is, who's going to take the flagship of the party when it comes to the presidency?
Okay, you're asking me.
Let me get his opinion first.
The best person to take the flag of the party and fly
Please bear in mind that there is Atiku in the party.
I understand.
Exactly.
I understand. That is one of the reasons that they are coming together. Is for their interests. Just to manipulate the minds of the poor masses for state capture. Nothing more. The best among all of them is Obi.
Okay.
The best among all of them. In the first time in the history of Nigeria, Obi was the first governor in Nigeria to leave over 10 billion naira in state account as he was leaving office as governor. No other governor have done it. Okay. Others will leave, let's say, 60,000, 5 naira in their state account as they are leaving office as governor. Obi is the first in the history of Nigeria. And if you check up Anambra, you see Obi during his time. He did his best. All this interest in what we manufacture, in what we produce, Obi started it in Anambra. He was using an innocent vehicle when he was governor of Anambra State. Okay, now, as it is, if Obi is giving the ticket, if by anything Obi is giving the ticket, the other elite there, they will impose on him who will be his deputy, his vice. And if at the end they give him an El-Rufai, how will Nigeria accept Obi? It will be very difficult. And if Obi should accept,
think he would ever accept to be vice? Wait, maybe okay.
If Obi should accept to deputize to be the vice presidential candidate to Atiku, how will Nigerians accept Obi? So that is why I say I completely align myself with the opinion of the last caller. Okay. If Obi should stand alone, as it is, if Obi stand alone, Obi is the only person that can give the current government fight. The rest have no capacity to give them fight. They may have the capacity. Like in 2023 election was purely about religion and ethnic.
Yes, because there's always a narrative regarding
yes, Obi succeeded in the area of religion.
Of course.
Obi won in Abuja because Abuja is dominated by Christians. Okay. Obi won in Nasarawa because from Maraba down to Akwanga, dominated by Christians. Obi won in Lagos, the same thing. Right. 11 states plus FCT, making it 12. Atiku won in 12 states as well, dominated by Fulani ethnic nationalities. And Tinubu won in almost all the states controlled by Yorubas. Then he managed to gather this vote and support of the minority ethnic groups in Nigeria. That was where he overpowered them. All right. And as we are going towards 27 election, whatever they are doing called coalition, Nigerians are aware. The level of awareness now, from 1999 to 1999 to 2003, the awareness wasn't like this. 2003 to 2007, the awareness wasn't like this. But before 2015, the awareness was so great, and that was why Nigerians were able to change government in 2015 and give leadership to President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, 2023, you see how it went. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, that 3 political parties, PDP over 6 million votes, APC 8 million plus vote, then Labour Party 6 million plus vote. In the first time in the history of Nigeria, NNPP 1 million plus vote. Only NNPP won in Kaduna.
right.
in Kano. You understand? So the level of awareness in 2027 will be greater. And everyone have to be more strategic. But Nigerians, they are very intelligent and wise now.
All right. Ambassador, let's get your opinion on that.
Well, I don't like using the statistics of 2023 election to measure what happened, because if an election was manipulated and rigged and the results were written, I don't want to put that statistics.
No, nobody contesting election that will say I did not rig election.
I am coming.
Please let Ambassador express it.
I said I don't want to use that statistics.
Yes.
Because that statistics was a made-up statistics.
Sure.
As far as what I know.
But I still disagree.
Yeah, you can disagree with that. And,
we disagree, so always
yes,
agree.
we always have to disagree. But like I said, I don't want to use that.
Exactly.
And number two, I don't think there are sense in politics. If you want to look for sense, maybe you have to go to the cathedral and maybe the Catholic cemetery. Where
they are not even there because you have a Reverend Father in Benue State as governor.
When you, that's where they canonize sense. You go to the cathedral and you can find sense there. There's no sense in politics. And I know no matter how good a person that you are, you need the support of other people, whether they're the bad or the good or the ugly, to get in there. In fact, it even takes the bad to say, you know what, we want to have our peace and our joy, our stolen wealth. Let's look for a good person that can take care of the people so that they don't revolt and maybe destroy our houses and destroy what we have been able to build. So this thing is this. If you love Obi very much as I do love him, you have to at least be humble about that to ensure that he even get the tickets, because this thing is about who and the confidence of people have on you. And if you cannot build that relationship management to be able to accommodate the variety of interests in politics, you cannot make it far. And when people begin to say, oh, we shouldn't have joined the coalition, what do you want him to do? Stand alone? You think standing alone he'll become the president of this country? It's not possible. He needs coalition, he needs support of others. And like I said, it's one president at a time. If you look at all the people that are showing interest, I'm very happy that they are showing the interest. That means he's going to be a competitive rate. At the end of the day, they all themselves know, because a lot of factors will come into play. Where you came from will come into play, your religion will come into play, how you're able to, your strength will come into play, your weakness will come into play. And if Obi's strength, Obi is not strong in every aspect of life. There's a places he has a moral strength to lead the campaign. There are places where Atiku, I'm happy that you mentioned Atiku had this number of votes. Obi has this number of votes. Pampasa have this number of votes. If they all come together with their number of strengths, minority, when they come together, become majority. If they all come together with those different strengths, then they can push an Obi, who also have his own strengths, to be able to become the president, and maybe, possibly, and we'll pray.
My worry would be, would they be willing to sacrifice their personal ambitions and goals?
Like I said, the issue now is no longer about personal ambition. It's about rescuing the country, if the country can be rescued.
That's if they see it that way.
Like I said, there will be one president at a time.
Of course.
And they know, they are politicians. They all know. It will even be in Obi's bad interest that nobody is showing interest to want to compete against him. It is good that showing interest to compete against him.
That is democracy.
That will up the conversation and make us extreme more his strength and why he's the best person to fly the flag. And if at the end of the day he could not do that, then well, it's either he continue on his lone march or whatever that comes out to play. But first of all, let us give the coalition a chance to even survive. Even the PDP that you're looking at, there's still time. We are not even into, we are just, we have more than 2 years into the election. There's still time.
For them to
even, you know what I'm saying? PDP is yet to have their convention.
Yes.
Maybe after they have their convention, it will play out crystal clear that PDP wants to survive or want to die.
True.
And maybe those that remain might drag themselves to go into a coalition, or they may say they want to go it alone. But what I can tell you is that, yes, except the opposition parties come together and form a coalition, they will not be able to defeat President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, whom I know is a very strategic politician and also a desperate person who wants to remain as president. So most of us who are asking these questions, I don't trust the coalition, you are fueling and even making it possible for the incumbents to continue in office, because you are marketing them for them.
All right.
By distributing
Ambassador, I want you to, in 2 minutes, so that we can wrap up, in 2 minutes, I want you to give us your final thoughts on what you think 2027 will look like. If you think that an Atiku will really sacrifice his ambition, if he thinks he has time for an Obi to be president, in 2 minutes.
I will tell you categorically, I'm free of charge here, that Atiku, yes, wants to be the president, but I think the interest of the country matters more now to every other person than individual personal ambition. And I know that at the end of the day, Atiku might want to support an Obi. Obi may want to support an Atiku. An Erufai may want to support an Obi. Obi may want to support an Erufai. But the important thing is that everybody should be able to bury their personal ambition as if it is a do or die. I had Amechi say, I'm also willing to run. I'm Igbo. I'm going to do one term. Obi has said, I'm going to do one term. You know what I'm saying now?
Of course.
Because there's this understanding in Nigeria that power rotates between the North and the South.
Yes.
And in principle, it's natural that after the 8 years of the South has finished, it goes to the North.
All
so
right.
my final word is that in politics, nothing is impossible. Anything is possible.
All right.
I want to see the best among them come out and fly the flag to give Nigeria a proper direction. And that person might be Obi. I might be anybody. But at least let us allow the coalition to survive.
Mr. Richard, you have 2 minutes as well.
Okay. Like Ambassador have said, I think the coalition, the leadership of this coalition, they have shown desperation from the beginning, and Nigerians are watching. They have shown desperation. For an Obi to have said he would do one term is desperation. And for Obi to have accepted working with these people, no matter what, is desperation. And it can be influenced, even if Nigerians trust him with
so
their right. Yes, Nigerians are watching now that Obi can be influenced, even if you give him this power to lead Nigerians.
I disagree.
Obi can influence, because Obi can be influenced, and he can be adulterated by this element. He can be adulterated by this element. And in that regard, Nigerians are watching. Like he said, what we are after in this country presently is good governance. We have not had it for so long now. After Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, after their term, we have no good governance in Nigeria. It's only military that have given us a little, especially Ibrahim Babangida. And since then, we have not had any good governance. Going forward to 2027, what we need is someone that will have the interests of this country at heart. And national value will be the interest of everyone. And the national value is how to make life better for everybody. That is what we want as a giant of Africa that we claim to be.
I will take 30 seconds of your time. That 30 seconds is simply the fact to explain that Obi's statement that he's going to do one term, our commitment to one time is not out of desperation. It's simply a question of common sense politics. Second times are end. It's not a right.
All right, thank you.
And so for you to say you will accept them, accept whatever they say, it's still desperation, and they can influence you and adulterate
Thank you so much,
From
gentlemen.
being the Obi that Nigerians
been a swell
know.
time with you in the studio, and
You
I would
understand?
love to have this combination again. Thank you so much, Ambassador Clem Aguiyi, UN Ambassador for Peace. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much, Richard Oriri, political analyst.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. And viewers, I'm so sorry I couldn't take all of your calls, but we'll take them again tomorrow. And I am Olamide Al Hassan, and that's bye for now.